The MP's Common Fund has over the years been a subject of controversy, with many people calling for its discontinuation. It has been suggested that the fund is unconstitutional and also a misappropriation of the taxpayers' money. How might this be true? Will Ghana follow the steps of Uganda, which scrapped its Constituency Development Fund in 2011? Also, with the matter currently in court, are the days of the fund numbered? To discuss this and more, I have with me Honorable Alexander Kodwo Kom Abban, Member of Parliament for Gomoa West Constituency. My name is Nana Akusi Asante Samuels, and you are watching The Hard Truth. We are proudly brought to you by Murphy Homes, Dawa Industrial City and Pulse Fitness Gym. Lawyer Alexander Kom Abban is our guest tonight. Welcome to The Hard Truth, sir.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Are you tired, or you are fed up with all these brouhaha going around? You look tired.
It's part of politics. I look tired.
Yeah.
Not because I'm tired of what I'm doing. Probably it comes from something else, not necessarily the parliamentary work.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away the fact that there are a lot of pressure on us. We cannot run away from it at all.
I see, but you look well.
Yes. We are coping.
Right. So every year, we realize that members of parliament receive a share of the district assemblies' common fund allocations to undertake projects in their respective constituencies. It has been suggested in some quarters that allowing MPs to get involved in such development projects is, misguided. Could this be the case?
Thank you very much. The MP, even though his core duty is lawmaking, and of course in that process the MP also has a duty to oversee the activities of the executive, and the executives are those who are supposed to do the actual execution of government policies, and of course put the law into practice, if I should put it that way. So if you are a lawmaker and at the same time, to the extent that you also become an agent implementer, because if you are given or you are allocated a portion of the common fund for some kind of project, conceptually you are both a lawmaker and also an implementer. It conflicts somehow with your oversight responsibility over the executive, because to that extent all MPs have become some way somehow appendages of the executive, because they are going to use the common fund for projects. I think that it has to do with the history, the mindset of the people. Otherwise, I don't see why an MP should be given common fund to go and use, because if you have a relationship, good relationship, no matter what the parties between the MP and the DCE, you are agents of development. So if you have a good relationship and you can have discussions that haven't gone round, we think that we should take this project there, we should do this here and all that, and you come to a consensus.
But why they really use the monies for such so-called projects?
It is supposed to be used for projects and for others. And I think that it has to do with some kind of history. If you look at the constitutional provision, and if you look at the law itself, nowhere is the MP mentioned that he should be given a certain portion. But it appears to me that it's all because of these dependency things that you have seen in the country, where the MP is under so much pressure, is inundated with one demand, one request or the other. And so it appears that over the years they realize that no, probably just to get the MP not to dip deep into his own personal pocket and other things, probably you should give some allocation to him so that he can use for these things. But I think
which things?
Things like people coming with school fees, people coming with medical bills and all those kind of things.
Okay, so I'm getting confused. Are you saying that the monies are supposed to be used for things like that?
You see, if you look at practice,
right,
the allocation is made to the MP. the MP decides
what to use the money for.
To use the money for.
And
even though he's not the one who is going to.
Is the money, or are the monies not supposed to be used for developmental projects?
Good.
We need roads, we need water, we need boreholes. So
I don't think that's what the MP should even be doing at all. I mean, if we are going strictly by the definition of what an MP should do, or by the practice of what an MP should do, I don't think.
Speaking of laws, we get that. Now there is the fund, but this is how Franklin Kodwo, puts it. He says that it is actually an excuse for the MP to perpetuate him or herself in power, but to not necessarily do the most important job, which is making laws. MPs are not development agents. They are development agents to the extent that they are making sensible laws to us. Now, MPs are, elected to Parliament to represent, their constituents. This may involve fights for developmental projects or amenities ECT in the constituencies. But does that really mean their role have to be necessarily include overseeing of development of projects in the constituency?
No, to the extent of going round to see what is going on in your constituency and to know the shortfalls, and so that you can also go to the executive to ask them that, look, I need XYZ in ABC villages. That one is fair for the MP to do that, because apart from the fact that you are there to represent them to make laws, you are also to at least lobby for some good things to come to your constituency, right? So to that extent, if the MP is going around to see what projects are needed at what place, it's not out of place.
Let's go to the campaign platform, sir. When you're campaigning, I'm sure people will vote for you because they check themselves. Oh, when honorable comes, my wards fees to be paid. Oh, the roads to be fixed. Oh, the water, will be fixed. Things like that. So you are telling us that that's not supposed to happen?
You see, it is just unfortunate. Just unfortunate. So much expectation has been put on the MP.
But who started? The MP did. No, but if
I think it has become systemic.
Yeah.
It has become systemic.
What did you promise? Hold on, sir. What did you promise your people?
I still remember my words very well.
I'm listening.
What I told them was that you require an MP who would have the courage and the fortitude to go and speak to the government, to disturb the government, if I should use those words, right? So that you can make the government uncomfortable, okay, in this sense. Uncomfortable that, oh, this guy is just disturbing us too much, let's do something for him, right? But I was very clear with them that it is not the MP who is going to have the financial wherewithal to come and do the projects. Because I know that in my constituency, for instance, there are some roads, they have become political roads, if I should put it that way. You have all been campaigning about it. Oh, if you don't do this, our roads for us, blah, blah. And I kept saying that, look, it is not the MP who would do the road, but you must get an MP who would get government to do the road, who would speak to government to do the road. These are the difference.
But members of parliament often lament that citizens usually put pressure on them to fix their, materials and infrastructure problems, to the extent that some are voted in and out if they fail to deliver. Don't you think that the fact that the MP common funds significantly contribute to this and, seem to be part of the problem?
Let me say two things. One is a story. And the other one, let me start this way.
I'm listening.
And I'm talking about myself because I want as much as possible to use myself as an example so that nobody will come and say anything to me. We have the notion, wrong though it is, that as soon as you get to Parliament, you become suddenly rich, right? All my colleagues are lamenting, in unity with me, because I'm also lamenting, You go to the village, one problem after the other, a long queue, right? And they expect that you should be able to resolve all their issues for them. In fact, the story is this a young man who is doing his master's. According to him, he is going to see a lot of big names out there, right? He comes to me. I don't have the personal money to give him. He thinks that he is entitled to a portion of the common fund. And because I've just given him something small, he goes to my former constituency chairman to complain to him. So he also calls me. And you see, it's not as though he's even trying to do his first degree. This is a gentleman who has his master's, or who is pursuing his master's. And he says, oh, he went to the DC, DC has given him this, he went to that, this person has given him this, he has come to the MP has not given him anything, he has just given him something small, and he's complaining. Meanwhile, there are others, if we were to even do this, there are others whose situation is even more precarious than his. Because in this case, I'm not going to give names, but there's a person who is even working, has his own family. But he thinks that for as long as he is a member of my political party, for as long as he helped in running the campaign and we are in power, I should at all costs, even if some other projects may be preferred or may be priority to his personal school fees, he thinks that he is entitled to it.
But who created that problem?
That's
MPs or
the
constituents, right?
That's why I'm saying that it is systemic. And in fact...
No, I'm curious. What did the DC or whoever call, what did he say? That you should actually give him something? Someone he complained to someone, yes, or who called, yes.
Well, the person who called me was only saying that, oh, you see, if you can help him. But I gave him my word that, you see, I have used the common fund that came, okay, to pay school fees and all these things.
But aren't you part of the problem? Why would you use the common fund to pay fee? Because I know the common fund allocations, is supposed to be used to provide funding for constituency labor projects. I want to know what kind of projects are categorized as the constituency labor projects, and do MPs really or actually extend that allocation to such projects?
No, you see, in the MP's common fund, I've already told you that the law, Act 455 and Article 252 of the Constitution, which establishes the common fund, does not mention the MP anywhere, right? And because this MP's share of the common fund came in response to the incessant demands made on MPs, it has become an avenue for the MP to decide how it is used.
But I want to know what the constituency labor projects are. What is that?
There are funds that would come in collaboration. It is given to the MP, for instance, for health issues, right? So that you can decide with the medical director in your district, for instance, that, oh, we would like to maybe do a chip compound here, or we would like to get these medical supplies. It has to do with something on health. And then we have something also on education. But this labor thing that you're talking about, I have no idea. But what I know is that whatever comes to the MP, he decides what it should be used for. The MP can go his own way to decide that, okay, in a small village somewhere, they don't have, let's say, kindergarten, so I'm going to put up one using my common fund. Or if the pressure becomes so much just like mine, before you realize, you may have spent all of it on school fees and some of those demands. Unfortunately, if you don't take care, the same people would come around to say that, look, When he came, he didn't do anything. And because sometimes they want to also see some physical project where they can point to. But the point is that if we had taken a bolder decision earlier to stop this, probably, I don't know, probably, to criminalize it, we wouldn't see all this.
How do I
don't know. That's
how do we criminalize it?
That's what I'm saying, probably.
How do we criminalize it?
But you must find a way of discouraging people from doing that. But if that problem is there, and in response to that problem, you say that, okay, in that case, let us give a certain portion of the common fund to the MP so that he uses it for this project. It's an encouragement for people to go on. And that's what it is. As at now, every MP is complaining. We thank God that we even had this free SHS. But otherwise, at the beginning of every academic year, the number of people who would troop to the MP to request for financial assistance to make sure that they take their awards to the secondary schools unbearable. So that was the response. But I'm saying that that response has rather encouraged people. Because as now, I mean, take it or leave it. People down there know that the MP has what you call common fund. And so they would come asking for it. Right? So if you tell him that you don't have money, but he will ask you, but what about your common fund? You have common fund.
But again, concerns have been raised that MPs do not use the funds, efficiently to, actually execute. I'm really concerned about the projects in the constituencies. Could this be the case, and how widespread is it? Because from your experience, you talked about using it for school fees. You mentioned some of your colleagues in similar situations. So, how widespread is this? Is it everyone?
It's so widespread. So widespread. And to be honest with you, it could also lead to abuse. Okay? It could lead to abuse. Because, for instance, you ask somebody, I'm just creating a scenario. You ask somebody to write to you that he needs the money for school fees, right? So you approve, let's say, 1,000 for him, right? He decides, and you agree with him that he should keep 300 and bring you 700. Haven't you abused it? And that possibility is there. And so if the MP does not run with his conscience very well, it will be a very good avenue for him to skirt around it, to even use part of the money for himself.
Okay, so I want to get this. You haven't, or you don't commit any offense if you use the monies, the common funds, to pay fees, yes?
You don't.
You don't.
You don't.
You don't. All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to The Hard Truth, and we are proudly brought to you by Murphy Homes, Dawa Industrial City and Pulse Fitness Gym. Lawyer Alexander Kodwo Kom Abban, Member of Parliament for Gomoa West Constituency, is still here. Now, sir, I want to know, personally, how has the utilization of the fund, allocated to you, brought development to your constituency?
The fund itself is distributed according to a formula that is approved by Parliament. Whatever goes to my district for development.
How much?
I can't recall. But I think that it is meant for development at the local level. It is part of the decentralization process. Okay, so that the districts do not go to the central government cap in hand asking that, okay, give us money for XYZ, or come and do XYZ for us. So there are some things within a certain threshold that the district themselves can do, right? And of course, they also do that in addition to...
No, they do that in consultation with the MPs. I mean, they can't just go and touch the money.
No, please. No, please.
I'm listening.
It is the MP's share of the common fund that you make recommendation and then they pay on your behalf.
Let me get this. You are the MP, I'm the DCE.
Yes.
I handle the money.
Yes.
Now, we have projects. And I, as a DC, I know, yes, we have some other. I think I've seen some projects, you haven't, outlined. Can I use the money on your behalf to do those projects?
The MP's shares, no. The MP's share of common fund, you cannot.
Okay.
Right? Because I determine.
So there is an MP share, and then there is
and
a
then the
district.
common fund.
Wow, okay.
That's why I said that the common fund originally, it was meant for the districts, right? But I said that in response to the incessant demands on the MPs, sometimes justifiably so, because they think that, or the notion is that they are the ones who directly voted for you. As for the DC, somebody appointed him, right? So,
but now they are being voted for too.
Yes,
Yeah.
but they think that they have a claim of right to whatever you have, right? So they make these demands. And then in response to that, they created an MP's share of the common fund. So the MP's share of the common fund, though not paid directly to the MP, but to the district, it is the MP who determines how it should be used. So you recommend that pay so and so from my fund to do XYZ for me, right? So probably you're going to do, let me give an example. In my constituency, for instance, I decided that because of the low score that we have in BEC, I decided I was going to run a supermarket for them, right? Beyond that, I decided to hire somebody to go to all the circuits to get all the JSS3 people, teach them career setting, career goals, all those kind of things, and then how to even answer examination questions and all that, right? So these are projects or programs that I conceived. So you would bring whatever budget there is, justify it, then write to the DCE, and then it will be paid to whoever is the supplier of that service. And I also decided that, okay, for each candidate, I was going to give a mathematical set, right? So I got the pro forma invoice from the supplier, took it to the DCE. They made the supply to them, so they received them at stores, and then made it available to us to go and distribute. And then we brought the distribution list back to the district. So that's how you use it, depending on what you think you want to deal with, right?
I see.
So I'm just giving you an example of what I did with part of the MP's share of the common fund. So you determine how it should be used.
How you should use it.
So the DCE can also suggest to you that, oh, these communities are asking for maybe a borehole or this.
Why can't he Why can't he use the district fund for that? I mean...
he could.
Yeah.
He could. But he can also ask you if you would be willing to do something like that. You understand? I mean, he can suggest it to you, but you determine how you're going to use it. That is the practice.
I see, but in 2008, I remember Honorable Kofi Damesi, who was the then Volta Regional Minister, described the progress under the fund by MPs as, unremarkable. Many still feel this way. In fact, in January this year, the presiding member for Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, Abraham Abedu Obwedi, indicated that the MPs in the region were using the common fund for their personal and their own interest to, at the expense of development. Does this raise serious questions on how, are the funds supposed to be used?
I cannot speak to that. But if the funds are being used for public good, even though the beneficiaries are individuals, okay, well and good, like paying somebody's school fees, the real beneficiary is an individual. But we think that for as long as that individual would, through that, become somebody for the country, well and good. But if you're going to use it for yourself, then I think that some kind of antitrust issues come in here, right? But that one, it has to do with the individual MP. Okay? Something I would not do. But if somebody is doing it, then if you can follow the money to be sure that the person is fraudulently creating some fictitious expenditures, but the thing is coming back to him, that one will be criminal, right? You can deal with him on that. But I think that why should we even put the MPs to those kind of temptations? That's why I was thinking that, look, we must rise above this. We should not play ostrich about it at all. That no matter how much money you give to the MP, he would not be able to satisfy those demands. And so we must let the people know that it is not the case that as soon as a person becomes an MP, he becomes so rich, and that all your troubles should be given to him.
But as soon as you become MP, you have a V8. I mean, so why wouldn't the people assume that, yes, there's more money?
Probably they see the car as status symbol that you have arrived, but does not necessarily mean so. Okay, it is given to you as a loan. They take, the money from your salary, and then probably because roads are not good, you are going very fast, so they give you this car and you pay for it. It does not necessarily mean that you are up there. And I can assure you that probably many people after they leave may not be able to buy a similar car.
But every peso of public funds spent in the name of developing, the country must be accounted for. However,
sure.
MPs, expand, or I think they expand their common fund allocations, and how they want to spend are not really accountable in utilization.
No, that's not true.
Really?
That's
So
not
do
true,
you think this kind of unaccountability breeds corruption? Are you sure, sir?
No, you see, the issue of corruption would be there. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I created that scenario.
So let's say you said you use it for school fees. So someone comes, you give me 1,000. Paula Mankwa 1,000. Suleiman Amuta 1,000. How do we account? I mean, so is there something to show? Who takes that? Who actually looks at how much you've spent?
You see, what I have stated clearly is this. You are looking for this kind of support. You put it into writing. So that letter will be there. My cover letter will be on it. And then everything will be taken to the assembly. The check, if it is going to a school, written in the name of the school, straight. Or if for some reason it must be written in the name of that person, it goes there. So all the paper trail is there. And so you can easily do the accounting, right? So that people know that, oh, these monies went into paying of school fees of Mr. X, Y, or Miss X, Y, Z. But my point is that,
at the end of the term, sir, I mean, are they audited at all?
Yes. The Auditor General audits them. And indeed, the MP's share of common fund, every year, they give us a report, Auditor General's report.
There's been several calls for government to scrap, the common fund. What are the chances of this actually happening?
They should scrap it, but before they scrap it, they should let people know that it is not the duty of the MP to pay for...
If you don't pay, how do you come back to your constituency? I mean, how would they vote for you?
You see, there are many, many more finer gentlemen and women out there who probably may be the engine of change faster than we are seeing. They are not putting themselves up for elections because of these things, right? So it is for our own good that we look for people who are ready to go and affect our lives positively. But it appears that, look, the thinking has been that when you go there, you're going to steal anyway. Just give me mine. You go there, somebody will tell you that, oh, as for my thumb, I'm selling it, right? So they put you to so much expense. And I'm saying that the way things are going, I thought that from 1993, coming to this point, we are maturing in our democratic dispensation. And in that process, we should also come to the realization that in doing that exercise, we are looking for people who have ideas to change our system. Unfortunately, it appears to me that as we grow in our democracy, the use of money is even becoming bigger and bigger. So that it becomes the person who comes to pay more, right? It's a thing that we must face and deal with it squarely. Otherwise, a time will come when we may have a bunch of, with all due respect, stupid people in Parliament, and the only reason for being there is that they are rich and they have been able to buy.
You might, not pay. Someone will come to you, I don't have the money, but someone will do that. Again, you're talking about, useless or stupid people in Parliament. So how, again, do we ensure that if I'm the citizen or I'm the people in your constituency, if they don't understand the reasons for not taking such things, such money, such school fees and things like that. So what happens? Do we automatically, end up with very silly people in Parliament?
Education, education, education. Let us educate the people what their civic rights are. At the same time, let us make them know what their civic responsibilities are. Okay? And then make sure that there are laws even for people who go into politics. I know that in the US, you cannot use beyond a certain percentage of your own net worth into politics. The reason is that you don't have to put yourself to so much expense that the temptation to even go and reap it back from the public purse is curtailed or is minimized. So it has to do with raising of funds.
From 93
so,
you mentioned, I'm still confused. From 93 to now is about 25 years, yes? Mm-hmm. And you're talking about education. I'm sure we've talked about these things over the years. How do we get our people to understand these things are wrong and MPs are not supposed to pay fees and these are the little things?
That's what I'm saying, that sometimes we may have to come out with laws, and sometimes we will have to go we still have to do the education, right? Unfortunately, sometimes it becomes a reason price becomes the determining factor. If paying more becomes the price, okay? Because we are all competing.
Yep.
And so one person comes to pay more, we'll give it to him. Let me give you an example. In the run-up to these executive elections and all that, and everything, I want to be as practical as possible. The hard truth that I can tell. Where people who were looking for executive positions approached various constituency executives to talk to them and all that. In most of the cases, I was not around. You call that, oh, this person came around, what happened? And the first thing you hear is that, oh, when this person came, he only gave us 500 Ghana cedis. Meanwhile, the other person who came, he gave us 1,000 Ghana cedis. He's not even going to tell you the ideas of the people who came. Right? He's not even going to tell you that when this person came, this and this and this and this is what he said. And we think that he has very good ideas and that we should push him. No. We are spoiling our politics. Simple. We should rise up to it.
Will it get better?
It should. It should get better. Because I believe we have men and women of goodwill who would want to change the fortunes of this country. Unfortunately, what has happened is that it has become a ball game, and they say, oh, politics is a game, blah, blah, blah. Please, it's a serious business.
But
where people, aggregate their power and give to you for their benefits. If indeed we are going to serve the people, why should we pay the people to serve them?
Right, but you're talking about serving. Isn't it, a relationship with benefits? So I vote you into power, you do my bidding. So honorable, today I need chop money. Honorable, today fees.
No, it is wrong. You see, it's a wrong perception. Probably the way we started it. It's a wrong perception.
But over the years, questions have been raised on the constitutionality and legality of the fund allocation. In fact, Kwame Nahua, I remember, former local government, minister, he said that he believes that the fund, since it started in 1997, that it's been misappropriated, and that looking at all the deductions and it's unconstitutional. Are you all benefiting from a constitutional illegality? Can I ask that?
If you look at Article 252, there is no mention of the MP. If you also look at Act 455, that is the this Assembly Common Fund itself, there's no mention of the MP, right? But at least within it, I think it's Section 18 or something like that, it says that that formula must be approved by Parliament and all that. If in the wisdom of Parliament, because there is this looming danger, or there is this pressing problem of incessant demands on the MPs, they decide to create a certain portion or hide a portion of the total amount that is going to the respective districts for the use of the MP to solve these problems. I'm just wondering what would be unconstitutional about it, unless, of course, they determine the word development as used in the article and the act is defined to mean only physical development, and that if you are using it to solve other people's problems and other things, it may not be seen as development. It depends on the kind of definition that you put. So
the deductions are not right. Let me quote him right. He said, "I believe, and this has always been my belief since 1997, that the MP's appropriation of the common fund and all other deductions is unconstitutional." That's what he said. But it is
within his right to go to the Supreme Court to challenge it.
Right, but in Article 252 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana, it establishes the District Assembly's common fund is quite clear when it states in Clause 3, I think, that monies accruing to the District Assemblies in the common fund shall be distributed among all the district assemblies on the basis of, a formula approved by Parliament, you just said. And there is no mention of allocation to Member of Parliament in there.
I've stated that
therefore,
many times.
Wouldn't you say, any act of allocating some portions of money accruing to the district assemblies common fund to the MPs, is still unconstitutional?
I express no opinion on that. I think we should leave that one to the courts. That's why I said that this decision was taken to respond to a problem. But probably this shouldn't have been the decision. Probably we should have made laws preventing people from doing that. Okay,
but can we also, from this, can we also say that, can we make it a law, and can it be stated in Ghana that the fund it's supposed to be used for, you said whatever you want to use for, but it shouldn't be in our minds it's for projects? I mean, can that be said too?
That's why I said. That's why I said that. What definition are we going to put on the word development? Because that's the key word in the Act, and also in the constitutional provision, right? So it is meant. It is taken there and meant for development, right? So the question is, by development, do you mean physical infrastructure, or what? What about human development? For instance, like the example I gave of running the supermarket for my constituents, okay, the BEC candidates, and getting somebody to come and teach them how to answer examination questions and all that. Because I felt from 27% BEC score, horribly bad.
So development should be spelled clearly.
So unless you restrict the meaning of development
to infrastructure,
then you can say that to that extent it's unconstitutional. But if development is left open this way, and it can be seen that investing in students, for instance, is actually development. What would be the unconstitutionality? That's why I said that I expressed no opinion on that. We have to let the court speak to it, right? But I've stated it clearly that the MP finds, no mention, no space in the Act and also in the constitutional provision. But I've told you that in the course of time, you realize that the pressure on the MP's salary, right, by his constituents was too much. And probably that's why he said, okay, let us, in the formula that we would agree, because you see, it must be done by a certain formula. In that formula, let us introduce a variable that deals with the MP.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Hard Truth. I still have lawyer Alexander Kodwo Kom Abban, Member of Parliament for Gomoa West Constituency. Sir, two law students of, I think, University of Cape Coast, John Awuni and Richard Kodwo dragged the Attorney General to court last month on the same issue. In the event that the court rules on, in their favor, that the fund be scrapped, what next?
To the extent that, based on the pressures that I've told you, the fund is not serving maybe the purpose of creating things that all the constituents are enjoying from. But that sometimes it has become an avenue for you to be dashing it out to individuals and other things. If the court comes to the determination that, look, it's unconstitutional, for instance, or for some other reason it is struck out, what next is that either we take a bold decision as a country to let the people know that you cannot make your MP a money bag and everybody coming to him, and we are able to insist, and all MPs, right, are also in conformity, or they also conform to that maybe new order. Either we do that, or we plunge the MPs into dire financial situation, and those who may not be able to cope, no matter how brilliant they are there in Parliament, they have to bow out, because that's where it is coming to. So for me, probably the time we felt we should give something to the MP for these things also even went to create in the minds of the electorate further that, oh, the MP is the person who must bring development. Because, for instance, in my case, right, because of this thinking, people call on radio, on TV, if I'm on the program, then they will tell me, look, our road, if you don't do it, next 4 years, you are going. Right? Even
but
though...
fix it, Honorable. I mean, what stops you from seeing...
Is it within my province? You are speaking like them.
No, I'm not.
Is it within my province?
Fix it. Fix it means talk to whoever.
Exactly.
I mean, you can
and
talk to...
That's the only thing I can do.
Yeah.
So if you do it,
no.
if you go and talk...
Yeah.
Government looks at its priorities, looks at its budgetary allocation for maybe road construction and all that. And they think that, no, it cannot be done within these 4 years. Do you become a loser then? Just because you have not been able to get the government to
explain to them.
But that is not the explanation. If it is the explanation, probably they would accept it. But they think that it is your duty to fix the road. Right? Well, Meanwhile, your duty is to do parliamentary work. So they don't even care whether you are doing very well in Parliament, you are contributing to debate, whether at committee levels you are bringing ideas, whether you are discharging your parliamentary duties. That becomes none of their business. For us, we want this road, and we think it is because of this road, and we think because you can get the road to be fixed, that's why we have voted for you.
Oh, not make you like a great MP to do that.
Of course, if I have
extraordinary.
If I succeed in getting the government to do the road, I would definitely
Honorable,
take
you
a
have no
lot of...
excuse. Fix the road. Moving on to other issues. What do you make of the contract between, the Communications Ministry and Kelvin GVG?
You are actually inviting me to tread on a very perilous journey.
I'm listening.
Okay. I cannot speak to the accounting of it, whether it's very expensive or whether the price is right and all that. I cannot speak to it because I have virtually no knowledge in this area. So if somebody can use 2 cedis to fix that thing, or some other person can use 10 cedis and all that, I don't know. Right? So I cannot say, oh, it is too expensive when I do not have any basis for it. But at least we have heard examples of people coming like Imani and all that, saying that it is too expensive. And I think I also heard, I think Canada, Japan, I'm not so sure, also saying it's expensive and all that. Let me leave that debate for them so that they can show all the financial variables to show that it is either the price is right or it is overblown.
When the minister came to Parliament, what happened? What did she say?
Oh, when she came, she said a whole lot of things. But I think that what I want to take is the issue of the human rights argument, okay, which has led to some people going to court. I think I'm more comfortable with the legal aspect than with the financials.
Tell me. Let's listen to the legal aspect. So
the legal aspect is that the agreement which grants some kind of right to Kelvin GVG to create this platform, okay, where all calls, all data used and all those kind of things can be monitored in real time so that it will be a basis for the calculation of the exigible tax on these telcos. Okay, some are saying it's unconstitutional because they think that once they are monitoring the calls and other things, and it is not part of the contract between the customer and that telco or that telecom company, their right to privacy is being encroached upon. That is what the argument is, and that's why some people have gone to court, right? They are relying on Article 18. I agree that Article 18 talks about privacy and all that. But it appears that those who are saying that are oblivious of Article 12, right, of the Constitution. Article 12 of the Constitution, if I may look for it and probably read for you, so that we can all, fundamental human rights and freedoms. Article 12.1 says that the fundamental human rights and freedoms enshrined in this chapter shall be respected and upheld by the executive, legislature, and judiciary, and all other organs of government and its agencies, and where applicable to them, by all natural and legal persons in Ghana, and shall be enforceable by the courts as provided for in this Constitution. Given. Now listen to Article 12, Clause 2. Every person in Ghana, whatever his race, place of origin, political opinion, color, religion, creed, or gender, shall be entitled to the fundamental human rights and freedoms of the individual contained in this chapter. Now listen to where my emphasis is. But subject to respect for the rights and freedoms of others and for the public interests. Okay? Now, it is the competition between two imperatives. Right to privacy and the public interest of getting the exigible tax. Okay? Now, the narrative goes as though the telcos, for the reason that we have individual contracts with them, they are better placed to keep our conversation and our data, our WhatsApp information and messages and all those kind of things, keep it from being encroached upon or keep it secretly. They are better placed than Kelvin GVG. That's the argument, right? Why do we think so? Is it just because there's a contract between you and the telco? So why can't we also use laws in such a way that currently GVG can also not disclose the information to anybody? Do we not get to the same point? The same insulation that we want, don't we get it? So that the government can monitor and know exactly how much the telcos are doing, making, so that the taxes can also be paid. Mind you, we are all crying for development. And those development, there's tax money that is used for it. And if we, as individuals in the country, are the persons patronizing and getting these telcos to be rich, why can't they also pay what they have to pay? And so that's why I'm saying that I hope that the telcos are not behind these lawsuits.
You think so?
It could be. Don't avoid that possibility at all. After all, the fact that they are defendants does not necessarily mean that they are not happy with it. You could be a defendant, but the outcome of the case inures your benefit even more than the plaintiff. All right? Because you see...
So 198 or 97 million, it's okay by you.
I don't want to go there. That's why I said I don't drive me there, because I do not know.
Okay.
I have not done any comparative analysis.
I see.
To be able to come to a determination.
But do you think it's okay to pay 1.5 to someone for no work done? Do you think that's okay?
For no work done?
Yeah.
I have heard that based on the contract, 1 month after the execution of the contract, you start making payment, right? I believe that that portion of the contract probably we should have foreseen that probably that if things were not put together in time, we may be paying when they have not done anything. Probably they should have fine-tuned that area of the agreement. But if after 1 month everything had fallen into places, okay, and they are monitoring, and probably if you're paying 1.5 and from their monitoring exercise, they are bringing in far, far more than that, then the government stands in better stead than not contracting them at all. But I'm saying that those technical aspects don't take me there. The area I am comfortable in discussing.
It's the legal aspect. Fantastic. Let's move on. I'm sure you followed the ANA's expose on GFA and its related issues with the government, planning to dissolve it. What are your views on this? It
comes with a conundrum of issues, many issues. One was ANA's right in using this modus operandi in getting these people in the loop? I say yes, and I will repeat it again, yes. And let me give you a very simplistic example. If you want to catch a fowl, all you need to do is to give it corn, because that's what it likes. It will come quickly and you catch the person. So if you put a bait, you have suspicion that the person is doing some corrupt things. And the only way to do is to do a bait, and then the person falls for it. That's it. It is different from entrapment. This is not. The person, everybody exhibits themselves, their real self, when nobody's watching them. That's what it is. Every human being exhibits their real self when nobody's watching them. Okay? And so because he felt nobody was watching him, he was doing exactly what he would have done if nobody was watching him. That's exactly what it is. Let me tell you. But
what does it tell us?
If you know
more than 100 people, taking the money, so what does it say about us as a nation?
It says that it only tells us that we are a bunch of hypocrites, right? We are very corrupt, but we don't want to acknowledge that. And you see, the churches, everybody is guilty of that. You become suddenly rich, or even for what we were discussing earlier, you become an MP, all the churches are calling you. Why? They want money from you. Okay? That's what it is. They are not even educating their own people. They even set the example for people to follow.
Who, the pastors?
Of course. Right?
My dad is a pastor, the Church of Pentecost.
No problem. I'm talking about it.
So you mean the corrupt one's not my dad?
I'm not saying that the church is corrupt. No, but I'm saying that, you see, I believe that the church is divine, but still human. And I'm going to explain. The divinity of the church is given by God himself. So for as long as we have put a church there, it's holy. But it is filled with sinful people. That's what it is. That's why I said it is divine and human. Right? But when our humanness take the better part of us, we go and do all sordid things and get away with it. Right? So that's what it is. In fact, it is a reflection of the general malaise in our society.
So is it a wake-up call?
And the people,
is it a wake-up call for all of us?
You see, the people who throng there, who throng to watch the thing.
I'm sure most of them are worse.
Most of them probably are worse off. And they would have even done it. So as at now, it is Yantichi and everybody is talking about it. Okay? But go deep within you and ask yourself that if you were in Yantichi's position and you had been given that, would you have taken it?
Someone said yes, they wish they had 40,000, they would have quit the job.
They would have quit the job.
I know.
They have not seen anything yet.
But really, let's move on. Finally, we hear of the ministerial reshuffling. I mean, have you heard of anything? Do you think you're going to get a ministry or some new position?
I've also heard of the rumors.
I'm listening.
No, I believe in meritocracy. Sometimes we put so much pressure on the president, and I think that that's my personal view. I've not had any discussion with the president, and I want to state it the way I feel about it. That probably it's all these pressures and the fact that certain persons that the president respects may have taken some people there, or can you make him a minister and all that. Probably before you realize he had got 110 ministers, right? I have said it somewhere, and I don't mince words about it, that number was big. And I expressed a wish when I was at CTF that I wish that any ministerial reshuffle that would come, and the president would take an advantage of it, okay, and
to slim the flagstaff,
the number. Okay.
I'm concerned about you. I mean, what are your interests? Which ministry would
listen
you want?
To me
Let's
and listen
be honest.
carefully.
Yes.
I'm very honest. If they call me that come and do ministerial work, I will gladly take it.
Which one? Which one are you eyeing?
I'm not eyeing anything.
Are you sure?
Look, maybe you don't know me very well. I'm not eyeing anything.
Know.
Okay? You see, you do it on merit. If the president finds me worthy.
Are you expecting to be appointed?
I have no such expectation because no hint has been dropped to me. Right? But I can assure you, if the president finds me worthy and appoints me to any ministerial position, I'll take it.
You take it.
But that does not mean that doesn't take away my view that we could still downsize it and do it efficiently.
I see.
It doesn't take away my views at all.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to the hard truth. Honorable Alexander Kom Abban is a Member of Parliament for Gomoa West Constituency. And a happy belated birthday to Mrs. Anastasia Abban, the wife of Honorable here. Yesterday was your birthday. May you live to be 101 years. God bless you so much. And if you're watching The Hard Truth, we are proudly brought to you by Murphy Homes, Dawa Industrial City and Pulse Fitness Gym. My name is Nana Akosia Kunedu Asante Samuel. Catch a repeat of the program tomorrow. It's at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Have a good night. Bye.